When the weight of the world is too heavy, pray harder. And being in agony, he prayed more earnestly. Then his sweat became like great drops of blood falling down to the ground. That's Luke 22:44. You see, the greatest victory in history was not won at the cross first. It was won in a garden. That's what I want to talk to you about today. Because before Jesus conquered Calvary, he conquered the temptation to give up. Gethsemane teaches us that the deepest battles are often fought in prayer, long before the world ever sees the victory. You see, in the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus, he stood at the edge of unimaginable suffering. The weight of humanity's sin rested on him. And the road ahead led to, I don't know, what, betrayal, mockery, torture, and that cross. Yet instead of running from his calling, he fell to his knees before the Father. This wasn't a moment of weakness. No, it was the greatest display of spiritual strength the world has ever witnessed. Many people think that faith means never feeling pain. Gethsemane proves otherwise. Jesus was overwhelmed with sorrow, yet he never allowed his emotions to replace his obedience. Your tears do not mean your faith has failed. Sometimes the strongest believers are those who continue trusting God while their hearts are breaking. Notice that Jesus did not begin by carrying the cross, right? He began by praying. Prayer was not his last option, it was his first response. Too many people fight spiritual battles with human strength and wonder why they grow weary. Every lasting victory begins where knees touch the ground before God. Jesus prayed, Father, if it is your will, take this cup away from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done. Those words reveal the heart of true surrender. Faith is not demanding that God follows our plans. Faith is trusting his plans even when they lead through some painful valleys. You know, sometimes God's answer is not the removal of the trial, but the strength to endure it. Heaven did not remove the cup from Jesus, but heaven strengthened him to drink it in the same way. God may not always change your circumstances immediately, but he will always provide the grace you need to walk right on through them. The garden reminds us that obedience often costs something. Following Christ is not always comfortable. I can tell you that for sure myself. It's not always popular or easy. There are moments when doing God's will requires sacrificing personal comfort, pride, dreams, or even relationships. I went through that. Yet every sacrifice made for God carries an eternal reward that far outweighs the temporary pain. I promise you that. The disciples slept while Jesus prayed. Remember that? They were physically present, but they were spiritually unprepared. This is a warning for every believer. A sleeping spirit cannot stand in a day of temptation. The battles we lose publicly are often the battles we neglected privately in our prayer. See, God's word reminds us, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understandings. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. That's Proverbs 3:5-6. Love that. Love that. When the future is uncertain and your heart is heavy, trust in the bridge that carries you through the darkness until God's purpose becomes crystal clear. Another powerful promise declares, cast all your care upon him, for he cares for you. It's very simple. 1 Peter 5:7. But Jesus carried the greatest burden ever known because he trusted the Father's love completely. God invites you to bring every fear, every disappointment, and every unanswered question to him, knowing he cares deeply for you. Gethsemane teaches us that silence from heaven is not abandonment. The Father was present even when he seemed quiet. There are seasons when God speaks with powerful words, and there are seasons when he speaks through his faithful presence. Never mistake God's silence for his absence. I learned that. Your greatest breakthroughs are often born in your darkest nights. The prayers whispered through tears are never ignored by God. Every cry, every surrender, and every act of faith offered in secret is seen by our Father, who rewards those who seek him with sincere hearts. If Jesus needed to pray before fulfilling his divine assignment, how much more do we? We cannot overcome temptation, carry our calling, love our enemies, or remain faithful without a life anchored in prayer. Prayer is not simply preparation for the battle. It's the battle where victories are first secured. So when life feels unbearable, Do not walk away from God. Draw nearer to Him. Stay on your knees when answers seem delayed. Stay faithful when the road is difficult. Stay surrendered when your heart is weary. The same God who strengthened Jesus in Gethsemane will strengthen you. Every garden of agony surrendered to God becomes the birthplace of resurrection, hope, proving that those trust Him will never be defeated by the darkness. God bless.